A pleasure having you on board once again, and thanks for staying. The Ghana cedi is struggling to firmly stabilize against the dollar despite the successful elections and transition of government. The Bank of Ghana and some currency watchers had attributed the challenge with the cedi to uncertainty surrounding last year's elections, I beg your pardon. They had argued the challenge would be over once the elections were also over. However, checks with Joy Business show that cedi is still struggling. Now, economist Professor Peter Quartey tells Joy Business the cedi depreciation will not be over until the structure of the whole economy is changed.
If your production base is not strong, that is where you're likely to have currency problems. But if you have a strong production base, if your private sector is thriving, you are producing, you are exporting, you are getting more revenue, then you're likely to have a stable currency. It's a demand and supply situation. You have to supply or export more so that you gain foreign currency. And if you are not able to do that on a sustainable manner, that is where you have challenges. Usually realize we are able to stabilize for a while when we get cocoa money coming in, syndicate loans coming in, when we get IMF inflows, when we get Eurobond coming in. You know, that is not sustainable. A sustainable way of stabilizing your currency is to promote your production base, be able to export and get consistent flow of foreign revenue.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, says the cedi's persistent depreciation could be partly attributed to the influx of foreigners on the retail markets in the country. According to GUTA, the issue was emphasized at its meeting with President Akufo-Addo before he was sworn in as president. Several attempts by previous governments to flush out foreigners had been unsuccessful. Speaking to Joy Business, President of the association, Burma Dr. Oforiameyaw I, stated that President Akufo-Addo promised to wipe out foreign retailers in accordance with the law.
And one thing that we also laid it before him was about this foreigners' engagement in the retail sector of the economy, which GUTA, had been fighting all this while. There are laws and regulations in each of the countries throughout the whole world that one goes. Once we are having laws that regulate the activities of foreign direct investors who comes into the country, we want that law to be respected, because the invasion has created our currency being at the way that we are having it now, where the depreciation in terms of percentage had gone so high. Is that what we want as a country? Because if we export in economics, it will tell they normally describe it as so: exporting brings about foreign currency to come and balance our trade deficit. And so if you allow those foreigners to also come, at their end, they are also doing export to Ghana. Because if you export to the Asian, American market, the European market, to get the necessary currency, the hard currency to come and balance your trade deficit, by allowing them to also bring the goods in, at their end, they are also exporting to your end. And so they are also here to come and take the scarce hard currency that we have back to your home country to also go and balance their trade deficit. So, for example, if you have China and Nigeria, look at even the population of Nigeria being 150 million, even more. That. And talking about China, about 1.2, 1.3 billion people there. If they descend on a 25 million or 27 million people, even approximately if we have about 30 million, can Ghana survive? GUTA is not against foreign direct investment or foreign investors who are coming into our country to do business, but we are against foreigners who will come and abuse our law.
All right, so the Bank of Ghana in December last year released more than $60 million to help stabilize the Ghana cedi. UK-based Economics Intelligence Unit, EIU, in their latest report predicted that the challenge with the local currency will be over next month. Now, away from that, the cost of living could witness a significant increase in the coming weeks. This follows a substantial jump in prices of petroleum products in the first pricing window of January. But what are the factors that will influence the expected increase in the cost of living? George Rafi tells us more.
For some economists, the price of petroleum products is a major determinant in the cost of living in the country. Therefore, any change in price with the impact on the income levels of consumers. It had been argued by some that the 3 to 9% jump in price of petroleum products will obviously result in transport fares going up, a development that could lead to price of goods and services also shoot up on the market. This will result in the cost of production for businesses increase, looking at the fact that their budget for fuel to power their manufacturing plants would also increase. Another thing that should be worrying for consumers is that with crude prices set to increase further in the coming months and the Ghana cedi not stabilizing anytime soon, prices are set to increase further in the coming months. Some major oil marketing companies have told Joy Business that the hikes in price earlier this month was due to an increase in price of crude oil on the international market, depreciating Ghana cedi, and recent taxes on petroleum products.
All right, so still let's stay within the downstream sector of the petroleum industry, and concerns have once again been raised about the high turnover rate at the state oil refiner Tor. Many petrochemical workers continue to leave the shores of the country to seek greener pastures in the Gulf region. In an interview with Joy Business, Emmanuel Darkon, residual fluid cracking catalytic unit manager, disclosed that staff of Tor are consistently being poached by some of these oil and gas companies as a result of their outstanding performance at work.
Ghana's petroleum industry keeps gaining grounds owing to brisk activities at both the upstream and downstream sectors of the value chain. Unfortunately, there has been a growing demand for Ghanaian petrochemical experts and technicians by other countries. These host companies normally woo local workers with mouth-watering offers that are absent here in the country. The RFCC manager of the Tema Oil Refinery, Emmanuel Darko, described the situation as worrying, but stated Ghanaian petrochemical workers are sought after compared with other nationals because of the quality of their work.
Most of the refineries they are building are complex refineries, and some are also, investing in RFCC plant, which is quite a complex plant. And refineries are expensive, investments. So nobody would like to entrust it in the hands of people who don't know what they are about. So they normally like experienced staff. So they are able to poach them and then take them away from here to go and work for them. It's purely economic.
It's purely economic, but can we also say maybe the conditions of service here as compared to theirs? I mean, that's why they're taking it.
Oh, there will always be relativity. There will always be relativity. Of course, you compare a country like Dubai and Ghana, definitely. And you go there as a foreign, staff, expatriate, sort of, let me put it that way. They will certainly pay you better than, sometimes they pay them better than they pay their own people over there because of the service you are bringing on board.
Ghana, as a developing nation, therefore needs an enhanced human capacity to grow its petroleum sector both downstream and upstream. But what has necessitated this poaching spree by oil-rich nations like Nigeria and other Arab nations when Ghana discovered oil only a few years ago and needs the expertise?
It's economic, and people will always love to see greener pastures. But one of the other things too that we can do to minimize that is to ensure that we build those refineries here as well. And once we create value out of it, I think management can also pay workers, better to be able to help them, stay, for us to retain them here to work for us for a long time, So, it's either way. It's either way. But the good news is that when they go there, they deliver. They deliver. And we've also created a capacity to be able to develop more personnel, to also be able to run our plant and run it very, very efficiently. We have one of the best staffs in Africa when it comes to refinery operation, and we pride ourselves on that.
Despite these developments, the Tema Oil Refinery still has dedicated human expertise committed to deliver their mandate.
This is on the marketplace, and private businesses are pressing for government to focus on reviewing selected taxes in its first 100 days in office. This, according to the umbrella body Private Enterprise Federation (PEF), is the least they expect in the new government's first 100 days in office.
The governing party in its 2016 manifesto promised to scrape import duties on raw materials and also slash corporate taxes. President Akufo-Addo, in his inaugural speech, reiterated this as a part of moves towards reviving the economy. The chief executive of the Private Enterprise Federation, Nana Osei-Bonsu, says the least businesses suspect is for the government to trigger the review of the toll debt levy, among other taxes, in its first 100 days in office.
What I would want to see is the tax removal, at least if for nothing, the toll debt levy. If we're going to convert that into something else, let's look at how the toll debt levy paid by private sector can be used to resource maybe the Exim Bank or any other private sector financial tool to enable private sector to get the long-term pool of funding too. Because that toll debt levy going back to 2003 had been collected to date. And the toll debt was paid 100 years ago.
So you expect that within the 100 days, the toll debt levy would have been scrapped?
The action to scrap it, or the action to convert it into a useful tool for private sector.
He adds they are, however, being measured in their demands because of the expected constraints.
You see, when we talk about 100 days, it's like we're not racing to the end point in 100 days, because administratively, it's going to be very difficult. You have a lot of new players coming in. It's not a continuous government. Like if former President Mahama was continuing, he has the institutional capacity, he has the avenues in place. But here is a new government coming with a tool of new players altogether. Parliament itself is the majority now. A lot of people coming in oblivious of the rules and regulations and how things are done. So to expect miracles or to expect things within 100 days, to me, is not being realistic. We're talking about short term, 6 months to 1 year. What can you achieve? We're not racing to get things done. We're looking to get things done efficiently to be able to be sustained. Those are very, very important, that we don't rush through things to go, oh, we show this, we have done this, and then for it to fall apart tomorrow.
The Private Enterprise Federation has indicated plans to develop the capacities of especially local businesses to take advantage of the new government's promise to stimulate growth in the private sector and the economy at large.
All right, so these are concerns of private businesses under the umbrella body, the Private Enterprise Federation. And let's now cross over to get the views or the concerns of small micro businesses who are trading elsewhere in the country. And we're going live to Charles Aite, who is currently stationed around the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, to bring to us the views of some of these traders on what they expect the government to do with them within this particular period. Charles, if you can hear me, good afternoon. Charles? All right,
hello,
so Charles.
Emmanuel.
Yes, so if you can hear me, what have these traders been saying after talking to them? What are their concerns?
Well, absolutely. As you can see, we are currently adjacent the bridge over the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, the newly constructed one for that matter, the refurbished one. And the main challenge here happens to do with the fights for customers on both sides of the wings. We're talking of the pedestrian mall on my very left-hand side and that's of the main station on my very right. The situation happens to do with the fact that customers are cashing in on, goods and services at my very right-hand side, which happens to do with the station, more than that of the pedestrian mall. A situation which has, raised concerns among traders here who say the fact that they are being shortchanged by this very interchange. I have the head of the pedestrian mall with me, Edu Boahen, to explain what exactly is going wrong at this very situation. Good afternoon, sir, and many thanks for your time on Joy Business. This is a situation that has raised concerns among so many of, the traders here. The fact that the bridge is, having the other traders move over from the pedestrian mall to the station to conduct businesses at the, detriment of their businesses here. What do you have to say about it?
Well, thank you very much, and greetings to our viewers. It's true, we are facing a lot of challenges since 2013 when the construction started. You see, they demolished the part of the market, and look at the intervals from here to the pavement, okay? It's too big, okay? I don't know the reason why they did this to us. And we are facing a lot of challenges, especially, like we said, the customers, okay, they find it difficult to come to the market. And these people are also here since the place was demolished, because the place was a market, and there was a shells in which belongs to some traders. And since the compensation has not been paid since 2013, so they decided to be here so that when the compensation paid, then they went back to the market.
Right. Okay. So we are now ushering in, I mean, we have already ushered in a new administration under the, the leadership of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He's promised so many things for traders as yourself and the private sector on, the large scale. What are you expecting from him as a local trader here?
Well, it's very, very important issue. The traders are suffering, not even Odona Pedestrian Shopping Mall alone. The traders across the nation. And I'm a national spokesperson for United Traders Forum, that's UTF. And you see, the interest rate and even how to access the facility from a particular bank, it's not easy for the traders, okay? And the traders are not being recognized in the nation as the nation are building. And we are also paying taxes. We are paying more taxes in terms of the development of the nation, but we are not being recognized unless the government decided to come and tax us. That is where we are being recognized. So we are pleading to the new government, at least the interest rate and how to access the facility from a certain bank to work, okay?
All right. So that's Edu Bohen. They're appealing to the new administration to, create an enabling environment for markets to thrive in that regard. I would want to shift attention to one of the traders here. As you could see, she deals in, clothing here, and businesses at the pedestrian mall arguably has been on the low side, and she's been expressing the very same concerns with me before we came on air. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time on Joy Business. Nana Edubuahin has expressed concern about this very, the refurbishment of the interchange, stating the fact that customers, traders as you are being shortchanged by your colleagues who have decided to move over to the interchange. How is this affecting your business?
We are okay about that, but right now there is a bridge in front of the gates, the market gates, and because of that, people cannot pass through. So that's the problem we are facing now. But apart from the interchange, we are okay.
So are you also part of those who are calling for the traders there to move back to the pedestrian mall?
No. Because sometimes if they are there, people get to know that there's a market over here. So me, I'm okay for that. The problem is the bridge.
Okay, so she has a problem with the construction of this very bridge. But we shall be getting in touch with various traders, as you've rightly heard from the head of the pedestrian mall, who says the fact that there's been a fight for customers at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange at the present moment.
All right, Charles, I would want you to find out, from some of these traders what specifically they would require of the new administration to do, because we've been speaking to other, business associations. What are some of the expectations from government within this few period, within 100 days, so to speak?
If you could please repeat the question once again.
Yes, I want you to find out from some of these traders what the real expectations are within the first 100 days of the government in office.
All right, so in terms of the expectations from Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration, expectations are high from traders. I have one here with me, and she's also at the pedestrian mall. Good afternoon, ma'am. All right, it seems she's not willing to speak to me right here, but all right. I have one Charles, here. You sell jeans. Good afternoon, ma'am. What are you expecting from Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's new administration?
All right, Charles, we'll stop here. Right. That will be it. Thank you very much for bringing us views of some of these traders at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. That was our correspondent, Charles Aite, bringing us up to speed with expectations of the micro business community. Specifically, he was positioned at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. Now, moving on the marketplace, UT Bank has resumed trading shares on the Ghana Stock Exchange with a 208,100 volume traded at a share price of 3 pesos on the bears This gives the bank the highest volume traded so far for 2017 after the bank was halted by the Ghana Stock Exchange on January 5 this year for failing to publish its quarterly audited accounts to shareholders. Now, research analyst Bertha Atubiga now joins us on the phone line to explain what might have caused or accounted for this significant increase in the share price of UTB Bank. All right, so I hear we don't have Bertha on the line. Now, let's move on to our next story on the marketplace. And key industry players are impressing on the MPP administration to create an enabling environment for Ghana's private sector within his first 100 days in office. The president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Berma Ameyao, in an interview with Joy Business, urged President Addo to help ease the cost of doing business in Ghana within 100 days in office.
One of the key promises President Nana Akufo-Addo made during the campaign period is to stimulate growth in Ghana's private sector through creating an enabling environment for local businesses to thrive. President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Barima Dr. Ofori Amel I, says the only way the president can stimulate the private sector is to quicken measures to cut down on utility tariffs and levies on import duties.
Without a very good business environment, the private sector cannot operate to the admiration of themselves and the country as a whole, because if the private sector improves, it's the country which benefits at the end of the day, because the country may be able to get his or her taxes all right. When you talk about the macroeconomic indicators, you talk about the interest rate. How can one businessman break even if we have an interest rate of 33 to 35%? It's impossible. Even if you're not lucky and then you will fall into the hands of the macro finance companies, then you are dead. Because if you're talking about 5% a month, cumulatively you're talking about 60%. You're talking about 6%, cumulatively you're talking about 72%. When you talk about 7% a month, cumulatively you're talking about 84% per annum. How can a businessman, operate in such an environment to break even? Living there, you talk about the major issue of the exchange rate. Sometimes I have been very consistent that when we talk about exchange rate and government comes out to say that, oh, we have been able to stabilize the currency, what kind of stabilization are they talking about? Because the expectation of the private sector is not about you stabilizing at 4 cedis. Our expectation could have been at least 2 cedis or 2.50.
The Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association fears massive layoffs this year should President Akufo-Addo neglect the pressing issues of power fluctuations and unfair tax systems.
If there is a tip towards the local industry because we are locals, it will be appreciated. But where the foreigner rather enjoys a tax regime that is detrimental to the local producer, to my mind, that is most unfair. And that is the kind of regime we do not want to see. We do believe that if we are producing and creating jobs, then at least if we do not get any, we are not rewarded for doing that, then we should not be squeezed out in a competition that is most unfair to the local player.
So far, expectations remain high on how best the new NPP administration will turn around Ghana's local private sector. For Joy Business, Charles Aite reporting.
All right, so this is where we draw down the curtain on this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for watching, and do join me again same time tomorrow for other interesting developments in the world of business. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a very good afternoon.